I'm so glad you're watching today's Drawing for Kids video brought to you by the Ann Arbor District Library and the Ann Arbor Art Center. Today we're going to be drawing spectacular seahorses focusing on rhythm, movement, and line. You'll need a piece of construction paper and oil pastels or colored pencils. You can also just use regular paper if that's all you have on hand right now, and you can also just, of course, regardless, start with a regular pencil before we start adding color. So we'll go ahead and start by drawing this seahorse. We're going to fill up our whole page here with this nice long swirl that you can see. We want to leave a little bit of room on the edges for some seaweed and maybe a fish or two or something else in the background. Then we'll go ahead and move on to the head shape. So this is going to be a lot of curved lines, so just do your best to follow along with me. You can see here I'm kind of correcting that belly area, but you can look for shapes like swirls and like the letter S or the letter C. Look for basic shapes like that. Now when you start doing the little fins, you can really be creative here with how you want that to look. So you can see here how I'm experimenting, erasing, and redrawing to figure out what works best for my seahorse. But don't feel like you have to copy mine. Again, you can make it however you want. So now I'm going to draw the line for the belly, and I'm going to put a few extra lines inside that belly. And then I'm also going to add some extra shapes here in the background. So we're going to be adding some different lines and patterns in here even more. But for now, just leave it not too crowded and cluttered. So make it so that you're able to come back in later with your pastels or your colored pencils, whatever you want to use today, to fill that in. So I'm adding some bubbles in the background. I'm going to go ahead and add in some details in here into the seahorse, so you can see how I have this use of repetition by repeating the same shape or line over and over again within the designs that I've created in my seahorse. So I'm using little ovals and those kind of triangular little stripes there on its back, as well as a wavy line and then a straight line in that belly area. So once I do that, again, I'm going to add in just a few extra details there. I can then go on to my background. So I've added a little fish and some kind of underwater seagrass type thing. And then once I've done that, you can go ahead and outline it. So outlining it with some kind of marker, if you happen to have that, or if you wanted to use oil pastels, I would actually wait to outline it with a black oil pastel until you have completed your coloring process. Now, in your coloring process, you can see how I'm doing that now. I have added in even more lines, so I am still using that idea of repetition and rhythm. I'm creating little swirls and dashes and all sorts of little patterns within my seahorse as I'm coloring it in. So rather than just coloring something in solid, you can see how I'm using lots of different marks as I am drawing, so that it creates different types of just movement and rhythm throughout my entire work of art here. So it ends up, even though it's colored in pretty solid, it ends up still having lots of movement and pattern within the seahorse. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video and that you're able to create a really fun, colorful, rhythmic seahorse that is, of course, spectacular with lots of color and line.